Everyone in the hall stood up, clapping loudly, cheering his name. Rohan, 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 he smiled proudly, wearing an expensive suit, holding a golden award in his hand, a successful man, a respected name, a dream of every parent. But in the last corner of that same hall, an old woman stood silently, her hands trembling, her sari faded, her eyes filled with tears because the man everyone was celebrating was her son. And in just a few moments, he was going to say something that would break her heart forever. Sita was not always like this. Once she was full of life. A simple village woman with big dreams in her small eyes, she lived in a tiny mud house with her husband and her little son Rohan. Their life wasn't rich, but it was full of love. Every night they ate together on the floor, laughing at small things, and Sita would look at her son and smile like she owned the whole world. Rohan will become a big man one day, she would say. Her husband would laugh. And when he does, don't forget us, okay? Little Rohan would hug her tightly. I will never leave you, Mahi, never. Life doesn't always stay kind. One rainy night everything changed. Her husband met with an accident and by morning Sita became a widow. That day her world didn't just break, it collapsed completely. Now it was just her and her 8-year-old son. No money, no support, no one to stand beside her. But Sita didn't cry for long because she had a promise to fulfill. Her son's future. From the very next day she started working, cleaning houses, washing clothes, working in fields, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes more. Her hands became rough, her body became weak, but her determination only grew stronger every night. She would sit beside Rohan, helping him study even though she herself couldn't read properly. Study hard, Beta, she would whisper, so you never have to live this life. Rohan would nod. Ma, one day I'll buy you a big house. Sita would smile. I don't need a house, I just need you. Years passed slowly. Rohan grew smarter, brighter than every child in the village. Teachers praised him, neighbors admired him, but behind his success was a mother silently sacrificing everything. When Rohan got admission in a big city college, it was the happiest day of Sita's life, but also the hardest, because the fees were too high, very high. She had nothing left that night. Sita sat alone looking at her small box of memories. Her wedding jewelry, her last piece of land papers, everything she had, everything she owned, she held them tightly, and tears rolled down her cheeks. The next morning, Sita walked to the market with a small cloth bag in her hand. Inside it were her last memories of a happy life, her wedding jewelry, the bangles her husband once gifted her, and the papers of her small land, the only thing she owned in this world. Her steps were slow, but her decision was firm. The jeweler looked at her. Then at the old ornaments. These are not worth much, he said coldly. Sita smiled faintly. They are worth my son's future. Man stayed silent, and within minutes everything was gone. Her memories sold, her identity sold, her past sold, just to buy her son a better tomorrow. That evening she came home with money in her hand and a forced smile on her face. Rohan, she called softly, I've arranged everything, you can go to the city. Rohan's eyes lit up. Really, Ma? You did it, he hugged her tightly. I promise I'll make you proud. Sita closed her eyes, holding him close. You already have, Beta. But deep inside, her heart knew something had changed forever. Few days later, Rohan left for the city. Sita walked with him till the bus stop, holding his bag, looking at him again and again as if trying to memorize his. Getting on the bus, Rohan turned back. Ma, take care of yourself. Sita smiled. You just take care of your dreams. The bus started moving, and with it a piece of her heart went away. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months. At first Rohan called every night. Ma, I topped my class. Ma, I made new friends. Sita would listen happily, even if she didn't understand half the things he said. His voice was enough, but slowly, the calls became shorter, then less frequent. Then, almost gone. One night, Sita sat beside her old phone waiting. The clock ticked 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 a.m. But the phone never rang. The next morning, she gathered courage and called him. The phone rang, but he didn't pick up. She tried again. This time he answered. Ma, I'm busy, I'll call later. The call ended. Sita stared at the phone. Busy, she whispered softly. For the first time that word hurt her. Days passed again. Now even messages stopped. No calls, no updates, just silence. One evening a neighbor came running. Sita, I saw your son's photo in the newspaper. Sita's eyes widened. My Rohan? Yes. He got a scholarship, he's doing so well. Sita's face lit up with pride. My son is shining. But later that night, when she sat alone in her dark room, she whispered, if he is so happy, why doesn't he remember me anymore? Tears rolled down her face, but she wiped them quickly. No, my son is just busy. He will come back, he will call. She kept convincing herself, because sometimes hope is the only thing that keeps a mother alive. Months later, Rohan got a high-paying job, big office, big salary. Big people around him. His life changed completely, and slowly. He started feeling something dangerous, something cold. Shame. One day, his colleague asked casually, Hey Rohan, where are you from? Rohan hesitated for a moment. His mother's face flashed in his mind, her worn-out sari, her tired eyes, but then he smiled lightly and said, "I'm from the city, my family is well settled." Just like that, he told his first lie that day. Rohan didn't just hide the truth. He took his first step away from his mother, far away. In the village, Sita was still waiting, holding her phone, hoping that her son would call just once and say, "Ma, I miss you." But what she didn't know was, her son had already started erasing her from his lifetime. Kept moving, but for Sita every day felt the same. A long wait, a silent house, and an empty heart. Every morning, she woke up with hope. Maybe today he will call. She would clean the house, cook a little food, and keep her old phone near her, as if it was her only connection to life. Sometimes she would just stare at the door, imagining, maybe Rohan will suddenly come and say, "Ma, I'm back," but the door never opened, and the phone remained silent. One evening, her neighbor Kamla came to visit. "Sita, how is Rohan? Does he send money?" Sita smiled softly. "He's very busy, big job now." Kamla looked at her carefully. "And calls?" Sita paused for a second, then nodded slowly. "Yes, sometimes." As soon as Kamla left, Sita's smile disappeared. She looked at the phone again and whispered, "Why are you so far from me, Beta?" Meanwhile, in the city, Rohan's life had completely changed. Big office, air-conditioned rooms, stylish clothes, and people who judged everything by status. He had new friends now, friends who talked about brands, cars, parties, and backgrounds. One night at a party, a colleague asked, laughing, "Rohan, your parents must be rich, right?" Everyone looked at him, waiting for his answer. For a moment, time stopped. His mother's image appeared again, working in the sun, sweating, struggling, but the next second, he forced a smile and said, "Yeah, hey, they're well off." Everyone nodded, impressed, and Rohan felt something strange inside, not guilt, but relief. From that day, he stopped talking about his village completely, stopped mentioning his mother, stopped remembering where he came from. Days turned into years, and Rohan became even more successful. Promotions, recognition, awards. His name started appearing in newspapers, but in all those achievements, there was one name missing, the name of the woman who made it all possible. Back in the village, Sita had grown weaker. Her hands shook more now, her eyesight blurred, but her heart still waited. One day she fell sick, fever, weakness, but there was no one to take care of her. Lying on her bed, she held her phone tightly, and with trembling fingers she called Rohan again. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, then finally he picked up. "Ma, I'm in a meeting." "What is it?" His voice was cold, distant. Sita's voice trembled. "Beta, I'm not well." There was silence for a moment, then Rohan said, "Take medicine." "I'll send money." Sita closed her eyes. "I don't need money, I just wanted to hear your voice." Rohan sighed. "Ma, please, I'm busy, I'll call later." The call ended. Sita kept holding the phone as if the call was still going on. Tears slowly rolled down her cheeks, but this time she didn't wipe them. For the first time, a small fear entered her heart. What if he doesn't need me anymore? Days later, a big news reached the village. Rohan was going to receive a national award. In a grand ceremony in the city, everyone in the village was proud. "Look at Sita's son. He made her name shine." Sita smiled through her pain. "My son is so successful." That night she sat alone looking at the sky and whispered softly, "I just want to see him once." Her weak hands folded together, as if praying not for herself, but for one moment of love. And then she made a decision that would take her to the biggest moment of her life, and also to the biggest heartbreak. But what she didn't know was that this journey would change everything forever. That night, Sita didn't sleep. Her weak body lay on the bed, but her mind kept thinking, should I go? What if he gets happy seeing me? What if he doesn't? Her heart was scared, but her love was stronger than her fear. The next morning, she slowly stood up, her legs trembling, but her decision was clear. "I will go see my son." Opened her old wooden box again, but this time there was nothing left inside. No jewelry, no money, no savings, only memories. Still, she borrowed some money from her neighbor Kamla. Kamla looked worried. "Sita, your health is not good. How will you travel?" Sita smiled softly. Mother doesn't feel pain when it comes to her child. Kamla held her hand. "Will he recognize you like before?" Sita paused for a moment, then said slowly, "He is my son, how can he forget me?" But somewhere deep inside, even Sita wasn't sure anymore. After hours of difficult travel, changing buses, walking slowly, holding her sari tightly, Sita finally reached the city. The city felt different, fast, loud, unfamiliar. Tall buildings everywhere, people rushing, no one stopping, no one caring. Sita stood in the middle of it all, looking lost. But her eyes searched for only one thing, her son. She somehow found the address of the award ceremony, a huge building, decorated with lights, cars lined up outside. People dressed in expensive clothes, everything looked so grand, so far from her world. Sita looked at herself. Her old sari, her worn-out slippers. For a moment she felt out of place, but then she smiled softly and whispered, "I am his mother, I belong here." She slowly walked toward the entrance, but suddenly a guard stopped her. "Where do you think you're going?" Sita folded her hands. "Beta, my son is inside, Rohan." The guard looked at her, then laughed lightly. "Everyone here is important. You can't just walk in like this." Sita's voice trembled. "I am not here for the event, I just want to see my son." The guard shook his head. "No entry without invitation." Sita stood there helpless, her eyes filled with tears, but she did leave instead. She quietly moved to a corner and waited. Time passed, people entered, music started inside, claps echoed through the hall and outside. A mother stood alone, hoping that maybe, just maybe, her son would come out and recognize her hours later. As the event began, the doors opened for a moment, and Sita slowly slipped inside. No one noticed her. She walked quietly, step by step, her heart beating fast. And then she saw him, her Rohan, standing on the stage, confident, proud, shining under the lights, her eyes filled with tears of happiness. "My son," she whispered. In that moment all her pain disappeared. All her struggles felt worth it. She moved closer, trying to see him clearly, trying to hold that moment forever on the stage. Rohan started giving his speech. "I thank everyone who supported me, who believed in me." Sita listened carefully, her heart beating faster, waiting for one word, just one word. "Ma," but that word never came. Rohan continued, "My success is because of my hard work and my determination." Sita's smile slowly faded. Not even a mention, not even a memory. Her heart felt a small crack, but she still stood there, still waiting, still hoping. She slowly started moving toward the stage, her hands shaking, her eyes filled with love. "Rohan," she whispered softly, and in just a few seconds something was about to happen that would change everything. For both of them the hall was filled with light, cameras flashing, people clapping, and in the middle of it all Sita slowly walked forward, her weak feet trembling, but her heart full of love. "Rohan," she called again, a little louder this time. Rohan paused for a second on stage. Something about that voice felt familiar. He looked toward the crowd. Then his eyes fell on her, that old sari, that fragile face, those hopeful eyes. For a moment time froze. "Ma," the word almost slipped from his lips, but then he looked around at the audience, at the cameras, at his rich colleagues, and suddenly his expression changed. His face became cold. Sita smiled. She raised her trembling hand. "Beta, I came to see you." People around started whispering. "Who is she? Why is she here?" Sita took another step forward. "I am so proud of you." Her voice broke. Rohan stepped back. Heart was racing, but not with love, with fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being exposed. One of the organizers leaned toward him. "Do you know her?" And that was the moment that would define everything. Rohan looked at Sita, his own mother, the woman who gave up everything for him, and then he said something that no mother should ever hear. "I don't know this woman." The words echoed in the hall. Silence, complete silence. Sita froze. Her smile disappeared instantly. Her eyes widened, as if her soul had just been pulled out of her body. "What?" she whispered. "I think she's mistaken," Rohan continued coldly. "Please take her away." That moment broke something inside her forever. Two security guards came forward, holding Sita by her arms. She didn't resist, she didn't shout, she didn't cry loudly. She just looked at him, with eyes full of disbelief and silent pain. "Rohan," she said softly, "I am your mother." But Rohan turned his face away as if she did exist. The guards pushed her outside. The big doors closed behind her, and just like that, a mother was erased from her own son. Life outside, Sita stood alone in the dark, the noise of claps still coming from inside, but for her, everything had gone silent. Her legs gave up, and she slowly sat on the ground. Tears rolled down her face, but her voice didn't come out, because sometimes pain becomes so deep that even tears feel helpless inside the hall. Rohan continued smiling, receiving applause as if nothing had happened, but deep inside, something had started to shake. A voice, very faint, very distant. "Ma," but he ignored it because success had made him powerful, but also heartless. And that night, under the bright lights of success,